Just doing a quick audio test here. Got to check it out, make sure everything's good to go. I was set up over on Twitch, but I don't think as many people are looking for this on Twitch as they are on YouTube. So I'm try YouTube out, see if I get some more people going. Excuse me. Yeah, a lot of people are going offline. There's not a whole lot that's gonna be. Well, I mean, there's gonna be stuff that's happening right now. I got a current time of 1:30 a.m. in Kiev. I got. I'm gonna work on getting these not to look so crappy. I just kind of threw this together here at the last second with a couple of random windows of web streams going. I was doing this on Twitch. I had a lot better interface for it. I got to figure out how to make it look pretty on Twitch, like I did on, or make it pretty on YouTube, like I did on Twitch. So we'll get that. But these are the big three that I've been watching. Just these two webcams. You got the top left is this is in downtown Kiev. I'm not exactly sure what part of the city this is in, but it's a marketplace. You got somebody on horseback right now. There's people out and about shopping, I guess, or doing whatever they do at 1:30 in the morning on a Tuesday when your country's being invaded. They don't seem to be like super worried, from what you can tell off the webcams. You got people driving, you got people walking around. It's a normal day. And then up the other one, this is a live map with updates linked in here on the side. They got sources and whatnot. So these are all take this updates here with a grain of salt, because this is reporting coming in from multiple sources onto their website. So I'm just following along and see what there is. But we got videos of tank movements and all sorts of people moving around. So there's a lot going on, mainly on the western side. There's a lot of movement of U.S. UN military support coming in and NATO coming in this side, like over here. And that can't do much over here because Russia's right there. But so far, a bunch of incidents have taken place on the western border of Ukraine, which isn't not surprising, but it's unfortunate. This is where we're at right now. As far as major, let me see. I got my notes here. So far, the big points to take back, or to take from this, that I've got here. And bear in mind, I'm not a professional journalist. I normally stream World of Warcraft stuff, so I'm kind of throwing myself in the fire here to get something new going. But we got earlier today, last night, Ukraine. I'm just gonna go off. I'm Eastern Time, U.S., so I'm just gonna go earlier today. There was President Putin officially recognized the Ukrainian regions of Donetsk and Luhansk as independent states. Shortly after, ordered to move a whole bunch of troops into those two areas. So that was the start of the invasion. That was earlier this afternoon. It's later in the evening, that their time. The U.S. has imposed pretty harsh sanctions already against the Russian government and the Russian oligarchs, the ruling class over there. Got a whole bunch of whole bunch of money that they're going to be holding up. That's if you're going to hit somebody, hit them in the pocketbook. That's where That's the most effective thing. But essentially, they're being cut off from all Western markets, so there's not going to be people. They're going to be able to trade on the stock market and access money that they have outside of Russia for the time being. That's the that's what I'm gathering is going to be the effect of that. And also, Germany has announced that uh, they're not approving the Nord Stream 2 natural gas pipeline, which is going to take a whole bunch of natural gas from Russia and export it to Europe. It says an effect of that there's going to be a pretty drastic increase in energy prices pretty much all over the world. Um, yeah, I want to sound like an asshole here, but I'm going to go ahead and shut this down right now. The guy in chat that's saying border troops conduct regular training, tankers are learning to shoot. We're not going to have that shit. We can see what's going on, and Russia's the bad guy. They're fucking it up. I can't tell the difference between Ukrainian and Cyrillic, but if Ukrainian is not the right word, I don't know. But yeah, there's not going to be any defense of Russia's action in this. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this guy. Yeah. Russia's doing the bad shit right now. I don't want to hear anything to the effect of they're just doing good stuff. They're not doing good stuff. They're fucking up and they're making this shit a lot harder than everything needs to be. So if you want to be on Russia's side, you can go somewhere else. It's not. We're not gonna be doing that here. So yeah, that's where we're up to right now. Nothing. That pretty much sums up the day's events. I'm just gonna have the streams up, and then I'll be refreshing this stuff as news comes in. I'm looking at other sources too, so when if something major happens, I'll jump on mic and uh, talk about it. But for the most part, this is a lot of conflicting stuff coming in that you got to verify before you start throwing it out there. So, uh, but for now, just this will be the main source of info. I'll be updating that every so often. It's coming in with uh, pretty regular updates from different sources. So we'll go off that. We'll see how this goes for a bit. I might change some things around. Still getting used. Still transferring everything over uh, from Twitch over to here. So we'll see how it goes. But there's not going to be a lot of sound. I'm going to be listening to a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's mainly just going to be this screen, and then I'll jump on and update whatever I can. Appreciate you guys checking it out. And hopefully I don't have to say anything else, but we'll see. Yeah, it's absolutely a good indicator when you see people and cars and stuff and just going about their normal day-to-day activities. Is we got 1:30 in the morning on Wednesday, and there's people out at a market on horseback, and they looked like they were having a little booze fueled stroll down the road. That's what I'd be doing if my city was about to get on fire. I'd go out and get drunk too. But uh, it's a really good indication of how the tension, like how things feel on the ground when you can see it live happening. That's why I got these live streams up there. If I didn't see anybody moving around and like lights were turned off and stuff, that'd be a different story. But uh, so far, at least in Kiev, it seems that it looks pretty normal. I mean, there's a guy sweeping trash right now. Like it's really hard to tell um, live, especially with active military movements. They're not going to be putting exact numbers of people and all this stuff. Ah, got it. Yeah. I'm going to assume that you're Ukrainian. You're saying, Palma, you're saying you're Ukrainian. I get it. Normally, when, you know, I understand that, how do I say this? I don't know. I can't trust your word for it because I don't know who you are, you don't know who I am, so I can't just go and parrot what people are saying. So I'm just going to stick off of what's going on here on the news. But it makes sense if you have a large invasion force on your borders that you would have people over there too. As far as like active reports of or current reports of shelling at X location, stuff like that, there's gonna be so much conflicting information on that it's not even gonna be. It would be useless for me to say, hey, there's a explosion here, explosion there, because it's gonna happen. It's not gonna You're not gonna know whose side it's from or anything like that until it actually gets confirmed by multiple sources. But we've got good eyes on the ground in the cities, and we've got updated maps, so we'll keep seeing how that goes. I'm working on some other stuff too, so I'm not going to be on the mic as much until something happens. Best case scenario, I just hope Russia fucks back off home. I don't like them, never have. I'm all about. I feel my heart goes out to the Ukrainian people. Being in a war sucks. Can confirm been in one. Don't want to do it again. And yeah, so I'm just everything's moving right. There's probably the reason a lot of people aren't doing this is because there's so much conflicting information. There's nothing really to say that is confirmed. So I mean, everything I'm saying right now could be completely wrong. So but that's fine. I mean, I'm not a professional. I'm literally just a guy watching videos on YouTube and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So I apologize if there's any mistaken reporting or misunderstandings. It's going to happen. I'm looking at a lot of shit and have a really poor attention span, but yeah, it's definitely one of those nights. So I'm gonna hop back off mic here and jump into the news stream, try to get Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, you're going to have to wait till your local governments tell you what to do and how to respond appropriately. That's the only real information that you can trust is who's the people in charge of you there. It's just it's a scary situation. You never, I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. Um, been seeing all over the news about a lot of people that are doing uh, military type training or first aid stuff like that. That you hope you never see that in the general populace. So they're going to have to undertake that kind of training just in case. It's terrifying to think about for a lot of people. It's just you live with the cognitive dissonance that it's never going to happen here, but then here can be anywhere. So I'm just hopefully everybody gets proper proper instructions and get somewhere safe if the time comes that you need to be in a safe place. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I can't. You never know what's going to happen. So it's really hard to speculate. Oh, I mean, it's easy to speculate, but it's hard to speculate with accurate information that's not completely scary and hopefully not looking at worst case scenario kind of thing. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of crazy shit. And in a world where most not most countries, but a lot of countries have the backing of NATO or the UN, and then if you don't, I just can't imagine what that would feel like. That kind of isolation, like global isolation. I don't know. There's so many interests in different areas that everybody's different. Every country has financial investments in almost every other country, so it's hard to tell the extent of what's going to happen because I don't, one country that has a bunch of money there doesn't want to piss off another country that has a bunch of money there, and vice versa. That's the perfect world scenario, but in reality, it's whoever just whatever they want to do, they're just going to do it until somebody comes in and stops them. That's just that's how wars usually go, historically speaking, and it's unfortunate, but it's human nature. People have pretty much been the same the whole time since we started throwing rocks at each other. It's the unfortunate part of humanity that fortunately we don't see it as much, but it still exists. The one thing I will say for you know this time's different is we're able to see the playbook, and governments around the world are being very not very transparent, but more transparent than in past instances of things like this. Good example: weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The U.S. lost a lot of credibility after that whole fiasco, but then uh, they came out and gave the timelines of invasion and all this stuff that would have been classified information that in a normal circumstance would have been classified information, but they went out and posted it to everybody because they didn't want any appearances of being uh, trying to push forward an agenda. I don't know. That's what they say, but who take that with a grain of salt too. I think generally speaking, probably most people in the world don't want anything to go down, and except people that have a financial interest in it. And I can't think of how many people that would actually want war. Well, I can't think that would want war for anything other than financial gain, which is disgusting. But that's humans. Hopefully, it just doesn't come to that. But, yeah. Just hoping everybody can stay safe and get to a safe place if the time comes that needs to happen. So we got a couple updates on here. There we go. All right, starting. We got an hour ago. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, announced the first round of economic sanctions on Russia. I'm gonna pull that up somewhere else so I can see what those sanctions are. Well, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this and play World of Warcraft at the same time because I don't have that attention span. So we're going to focus up on this for a little bit. Uh, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you guys have been living under the constant threat of Russia for forever, essentially. I mean, since the dissolution of the Soviet Republic. This is a live UA map. Um, it's mainly it's got the top names are Ukrainian, and then the bottom ones are in English. So it's a primarily Ukrainian map, but this has the set. Live UA map. Here, I'll go ahead and copy that into the chat. So I thought I had enough. I thought I had enough monitors to do this, but apparently two isn't enough. There's the link to that map that I'm using. Anytime you mouse over one of these little icons, I'll zoom in so it's a little bit easier to see. Uh, all the red area, and I believe this is accurate. All of that inside the red area is Ukrainian land, so these are the borders. Earlier, I thought this was like a no-fly zone, but then I looked at it and I was like, oh no, that's just a map. So, as far as I know, they're like Ukrainian airspace isn't closed or anything like there's probably some closures in some areas, I'm sure, uh, but this map doesn't reflect those. And there are aircraft markers on here, but they're not really they're linked to the story. So each of these little markers is linked to one of the stories on the side. Uh, like each of these, they look like little explosion clouds, and that's for the article about Joint Forces Operation 84 ceasefire violations yesterday, Monday, with 2 servicemen killed and 18 wounded, and that's 84 of those. So there's 84 of these little icons that show where the different incidents happen, but they're all reported uh, under one thing there, and that was a while back. Let me just refresh it real quick. It does. It has a live news feed here, but you have to refresh it. Is it gonna stay refreshed this time? There we go. All right. But it's a cool little map though. It's got. Well, I mean, I hate to use the word cool, but for what I'm having to use it for, it's a pretty good resource, and it's always being updated. So whenever anything happens, there's a new icon there and a new story related to it. Let's see. Oh yeah, yep. Canada is doing sanctions. They are, according to. Just read this real quick. All right. So Justin Trudeau says government will ban Canadians from all financial dealings with the so-called independent states, in quotes, of Luhansk and Donetsk. Which, if we look back to earlier today when Putin declared that those two areas were independent states, even though they're part of Ukraine, they're not independent states. They are part of Ukraine, according to everyone else except Russia. So they're wrong on that, obviously. But that was a pretext they were looking for to send people in, and I'm spitballing on the idea behind it, but it was essentially in those areas. That's where there's a lot of Russian people, more so than Ukrainians up in the Northeast, and that's the first step that they wanted. That Russia wants to get in there, take those over, and then eventually move in to the rest of Ukraine. But they wanted to get that's their foot in the door scenario. Essentially, is going to be that. Uh, that's my opinion on the matter. I think logically it kind of makes a little bit of sense. Say that the Russians living there are in trouble. We have to go in and save them. I think that's a layman's version of what they were talking about. So yeah, so Canada. Oh, I lost my spot. Sorry about that. All right, so Canada is sanctioning. Yep. All right, here we go. Trudeau said his government will ban Canadians from all financial dealings with the so-called independent states of Luhansk and Donetsk. Donetsk. Canada will also ban Canadians from engaging in purchases of Russian sovereign debt. So you can't buy. Canadians aren't going to be giving money to the Russians, essentially, for the time being. It's also said the government will sanction members of the Russian parliament who voted for the decision to recognize Donetsk and Luhansk as independent. And if memory serves, I'm pretty sure that was a unanimous decision by Vladimir Putin's cabinet to go and to recognize that so he could sign the treaty. Yeah, they had that last night. He was sitting on one side and his cabinet was on the other side of a big-ass room. And, of course, they all said yes because, I mean, what else were they going to say? Of course they're going to say yes. Canada will apply additional sanctions on 2 state-backed Russian banks and prevent any financial dealings. That's good. That's the same state-backed banks that the U.S. Has put sanctions on. And earlier in the press conference from the Ukrainian foreign minister and the U.S. Secretary of State, they said that was the VEB and the military banks, the military bank in Russia. I think those are the 2 separate banks that they're talking about. So basically, cutting off the money from the West. Canada's on board with that now. The U.S. is on board with that. The UK is on board with that. Pretty sure everybody is. Additionally, Justin Trudeau. So this is more of Canada's sanctions that we're going over right here. Canada's also authorizing troops to the region, up to 460 members of the Canadian Armed Forces. And I just learned this is being all the Western people that are going in right now. This is going to be known as Operation Reassurance. Reassurance. It's not a very reassuring name. It's like a Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. Like this, God, they need somebody to come up with better names, more believable shit, because this is not believable. They're going to sending troops to Latvia, in addition to additional frigate and maritime patrol aircraft. So they're going to have some boats and ships and birds up in the sky. So I'll just read a little bit more on here. Yeah, this Trudeau's same similar commentary to what Joe Biden said earlier. Said that Vladimir Putin saying we're sending people in. I'm sending my troops into eastern Ukraine to keep the peace. It's bullshit. Nobody believes that for a second. Well, all right. Caveat. I'm going to caveat a lot because I got a lot to say about this stuff. There are people that believe this. Those people are the Russian people. The Russian people have one source of information. They might have maybe 2 or 3. But they've got state-run media that's propaganda that's being poured into here that's saying that Ukrainians... to clarify, this is my assumption of what the Russian state media is telling the Russian people. It's saying the Russian state media is telling Russian citizens, in order to get their support behind Vladimir Putin to do this operation, they're saying that Ukrainians are attacking Russian citizens and Russian Russian people living there. No, it's not Russian, not citizens, but Russian descent. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Russian people living in Ukraine. They're saying that Ukraine's going in and attacking them, which is obviously not the case. Why would a tiny country, Ukraine, go and provoke a huge country, Russia. It just doesn't make any sense. Nobody in their right mind would do that. But the Russian people don't know that because all they're told, it's like if you only watch Fox News, you only know what Fox News tells you. This is only the only media they're getting access to is state-run media. So they believe everything. Not all of them. I'm sure there's a lot that don't, but there's probably a lot that do believe exactly what they're being told, that there's bad stuff going on in Ukraine and Russia has to go in there and help defend, which is clearly, obviously not the case. And anybody with a brain can think that. Uh, so that's that's what they're saying. I lost my train of thought there, but yeah. So that's what Canada's doing. Canada's basically doing the same thing as the U.S. Just everybody's doing the same thing because they want these sanctions to hit hard and be a deterrent for further invasion. And the only way to do that is to cut off the money. Yeah, if you go after the money, then the whole that's the whole point, is the money and the power. So that's what they're hoping that's what they're hoping happens out of this. But we'll see. So that covers Canada. That gets us caught up to date on Canada. There's a lot of these videos. I'm not even going to show them because it's going to be a lot of the same thing, and I don't feel like looking. I mean, we can get the info we need without actually physically seeing tanks rolling on the ground, because we'll take a look at a couple of them, but not all the time, just because it's not cool. We don't need to be watching that shit. So, but we'll watch this one. This was up here. So okay, this is video uploaded an hour ago, allegedly from a Russian tank operator. Previous videos seem to indicate this as well, as part of a large convoy of tanks in the Belgorod region of Russia. That's up here. It's quite up to the northwest, so it's right. All right, so you can see the border here. Oh God! Just bear with me. My geographical knowledge of that is not very good that far zoomed in, especially when I can't read half the damn things. That's all right. We're gonna figure it out. All right, so that's up here. So this is some tanks moving around up in that area. They even got the coordinates up there. All right, so this is whoever's up in the turret. They just got a GoPro or a iPhone or something. They're filming it. So that's footage from point of view of you're sticking your head out of a turret on a tank, and apparently it took place right there. And that's all So that's why I'm not going to go through all these, because it's tank movement. There's just not a lot to learn off of that, unfortunately. Let's take a look. Just going to get caught up on chat here before we get into the next one. Yeah, there's a lot. It really boils down to. I really hate to say that it's lawyers that run this shit, but all the um, all the agreements, all the charters and treaties, and all that stuff that people sign with the intention, countries sign that with the intention of this is going to maintain peace, the organization of NATO, things like that. Uh, Article 5 of the NATO contract, the NATO clause, not clause, NATO creed. There we go. So an attack on one is an attack on all. It's without that backing on a legal sense from the treaties. There's not really a whole lot that the outside countries can do without giving the appearance of taking sides, it's just so dumb. Anyone that can see this is seeing it. You see it. It's obvious what's happening, but countries don't want to go in, and because they don't want it to balloon out like World War One. Bigger power comes in to help a smaller power against a bigger power. Then another bigger power comes in. Next thing you know, we're all over the place. So it's brutal. Yeah, Russian. I've seen a little bit of it. That what makes it out of Russia onto YouTube kind of thing from the propaganda, the pure propaganda that they're putting out against the Ukrainian people, and it's it's obviously not true. And these are all tactics that have been in the Russian playbook since the 70s and 80s, before we had the internet, before we had live webcams. Like you couldn't have seen a webcam in Moscow or anywhere in the USSR, because obviously that technology didn't exist at the time for normal people. But like everyone's got eyes on this and everyone's watching it and everyone's seeing what's going on, and you can tell that it's not a uh, it's just not true. It's just unfortunate. I mean, I don't know a better way to say it. It's just Russia's full of shit. They're fabricating their own story and their own truths to justify themselves going in to take back more of Ukraine, which of course that's the end goal, with the main reason being the deep water port in Crimea, and they want all that land access. It makes sense geographically speaking. It's something that Russia has a lot of vested interest in. But then you go, that's just from a purely geographical perspective. Then you have to take into consideration all the infrastructure that's inside of Ukraine. There's power plants, production plants. Things are built there. Stuff's built there, and foreign countries go and build their factories there to make goods at a lower cost to make more profit. Countries do that all over the world. There's a lot of that in Ukraine from a whole bunch of different world players that might not like Russia going in there and bombing the shit out of everything. A good example of that would be China. China has a lot of infrastructure there. This is anecdotal. I don't have figures in front of me to tell you exactly what they have, but I know they have a lot of stuff in there that they don't want to be destroyed. I mean, you don't want any of the stuff uh, that you spend all that time and money to put infrastructure into place. You don't want that uh, destroyed by an ally just to get some land. It's silly. It's dumb. I mean, well, it's not silly. It's super serious stuff. But like the underlying reasons are just dumb and completely unnecessary. We just hit a quick refresh here on the map. Yeah, I'm. If I get started talking about one thing, man, I'm just gonna go off about it for like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna try to keep on track here. We got 37 minutes to go, about 6:30 Eastern. The Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer from New York has requested an all senators briefing on Russia-Ukraine, so that's pretty big. Calling in all the U.S. Senate to have a big meeting about that. I don't know if that's gonna. I'm gonna check after I get caught up here. I'm gonna look through, see if there's any conferences or anything like that. So they're gonna be holding that. They're gonna be holding that all senators briefing, and usually they're gonna call that. They're gonna hold it. I don't know if it's gonna be virtual. I doubt that it will be. In fact, I can almost guarantee it's not gonna be broadcast, because there's gonna be a plethora of classified information that are gonna be going over on that. So I don't think they're gonna be doing that. They'll probably have people outside after the meeting, reporters outside, and we'll see if we can find some coverage of that. Whenever I'll see if I can get the schedule on that and pull it up and get a timeline going for it. So that's going to be going on in progress. And then the last update, this is current. Their news ticker is current as of now. The last update 31 minutes ago. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, Guterres said on Tuesday that any Russian troops deployed to eastern Ukraine would not be, quote, peacekeepers, as Moscow has asserted, and rejected President Putin's claim that a genocide of ethnic Russians was being committed there. There we go. That's what I was trying to say earlier. So these smart people say this stuff a lot better than I do. But the pretext of claiming that, gosh, I'm gonna have this memorized here shortly. I'm sure the two regions, Donetsk and Luhansk. Yeah, so sending Putin sent troops into those two regions as peacekeepers, as he said, with the information given to with the information used as justification, which is completely false information, by the way, that Ukrainians are committing genocide against Russians living in the area, ethnic Russians living in the area, and anybody that believes that is falling for the propaganda or just completely stupid. And those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can do both, but nobody in their right mind believes that there's a genocide of ethnic Russians going on by Ukrainians that close to their border or anywhere in the country. But if you were going to do it, why would you do it right across the border from where the it just doesn't make any sense. There's no logical backing to these claims that Vladimir Putin's making. But he doesn't have to have that. All he has to do is be able to convince the Russian people a little bit. And when you're constantly pumping propaganda into every Russian household all day, every day about this stuff, saying that there's genocide being committed right over the borders, it's completely irresponsible leadership, which is not. It's stupid to even say that. Of course he is. Vladimir Putin doesn't care about anybody except Russian money, his personal wealth, and the wealth of the oligarchs that keep him in power. That's what he cares about. He doesn't have to convince the world. So, like, obviously none of us believe, nobody outside of Russia believes any of the shit that Vladimir Putin's saying. Nobody believes it. It's not. If you're gonna make up a story, make up something better. But like this shit is so transparent, you can just see right through it. It's the same playbook he used in Crimea. It's the same playbook to use in Chechnya. The same thing. Everybody's saying it. At least now the media is calling him out on it. But at the same time, that's fine. Call him out on it. But you got to do something about it too. So we're at the do something about it stage of sanctions, of cutting off the money supply, and hopefully that's enough. That should be. I'm not sure. I know we've been pumping. I know the U.S. put in a billion-dollar aid package to Ukraine, and that's cool. But hey, they need more than money. They need, and like Palma was saying, not just blankets. Blankets are cool. They need weapons. They need the ability to protect themselves against a massive invasion force on their border. It's not a matter of the My Pillow guy going and airdropping a bunch of pillows like he was planning to do at the Canadian truck protest. That's not going to do anything. The Russians are setting up mobile hospitals with massive blood supplies. They're preparing for mass casualties. It's not well, let's just hope they come around kind of thing. It's in my opinion, we're way past that point. Way past that point. But man, I'm glad I don't have to make any of those decisions, because any decision is going to have a massive ripple effect for the rest of the world, whether it be our energy prices, food prices. I mean, shit, Russia could, because they have been for years. They could do cyber attacks on other countries and pretend that it's not them and just claim it's not them. I'm sure they're going to be doing that. I'm sure they're going to be disrupting our internet and messing with banks, and they're going to be screwing around in all different countries that they don't need to be. And then eventually, hopefully, people are just going to get pissed off and just stop putting up with it, or they're going to do whatever they need to do. Best case scenario, diplomacy can take over and there's no more bloodshed. But there's already people killed. There's people being killed right now. I'm 99% sure of it. But I mean, there's a little bit of hope in the live streams. We got a guy 2:15 in the morning just chilling, driving his motorcycle. People out at the market having a good time, driving around the main square. That is at, what's their place at? Maiden Square, and I'm absolutely rebroadcasting the live feed from China-funded YouTube, because I don't care. Fuck China. They can cut their stream if they don't want people rebroadcasting it. But yeah, I think that gets us pretty caught up. Yeah, just hit that one more quick refresh. Yeah, 38 minutes ago. All right, I'm gonna get some more updates here in a little bit on see if I can get a timeline on that senators meeting and see if there's anything more updated on further sanctions or anything like that. And if there is any good any press conferences or any like super important information, I'll pop it up on one of these cameras, on one of these two, and put the sound on and watch it at the same time. See what it goes from there. Did that earlier, and then yeah, we'll see in there. I want to speculate a lot, but yeah. All right, I'm gonna shut up for a little bit and do some more research, and we'll be back on here in a minute.